So a few days after playing disc golf, we actually found this place, McDonald Park in Abbotsford. Beautiful stop, nice picnic area, and I decided to make some lunch. Want to make it with me? Let's do it. You will not believe the things you could do with just potato and spinach. So let's try one of those things right now. I love to make a stew inspired by Aloo Palak with sort of my own taste on it. Aloo Palak is India's famous potato spinach stew. Please keep in mind, this is not Indian food, it's Indian inspired stew. It's mostly a way that I bring together two simple ingredients with amazing spices to make a beautiful tasting stew that will be reminiscent of Indian inspiration. We're going to turn all of this into a bunch of deliciousness. To really get going here, we have to make the potatoes. There are a few ways you can do this. One, you could just chop them up and roast them with the seasonings I'm going to do. You could only boil them and then toss them into the seasonings that I'm going to do. Or you could do what I'm going to do, which is to blanch the chopped potatoes and then bake them. I am going to take my potatoes, clean them up. Now, in India, they would definitely peel these potatoes. So, again, don't come at me. I'm leaving the red skin on the red skin potatoes. A rustic Canadian version of something very delicious in India. Chopping the potatoes up to nice sort of thumb tip bite-sized pieces, blanching them, and then baking them. And then the rest of it will come together in the next step very quickly. So you don't have to do them too nice. Just do them. Let's get them boiling. Next up, I'm going to put one onion into the bowl that will eventually house the potatoes and throw some seasoning to stir in there as well. And some ginger too. Just a bit. We're saving the rest for the onion mixture. It's time now to preheat my oven. And in the case of a little place like this, I have to take out the roasting pan and the muffin tin and the rack so I can light the pilot. And we're going to about 400 degrees Fahrenheit. So in the time I'm waiting for all of that, I'm going to prep another onion, some garlic, some ginger, and a tomato for the pan phase. Okay? I'm going to drain these potatoes now that they're getting blanched. I'm going to mix them into this seasoning, throw them in the oven, and then we are going to make essentially what is a sauce out of these ingredients and some spices, and it'll all come together real quick like after that. All right, there are my blanched potatoes, and to it I'm going to add some spices. There we go. Kind of give it a little toss through on the pan like that. So it's a pinch of hing or asafoetida. It's a resin that's unctuous and has a pungent odor to it. I use the pure resin that I ground and compounded a little bit. But you can also just buy it at any Indian store, and it kind of looks like a vibrant pastel yellow color. That works great too. We're going to use about a teaspoon of red chili powder. Now, if you want this less spicy, you can use Kashmir mirchi, Kashmir chili powder. You could even substitute in pimenton, like a smoked paprika, if you want to make it completely devoid of anything that might offend someone who has troubles with spice. Same thing, but with coriander. I'm going to add turmeric. Just a dusting, and then pull it through. Gonna give it just a drizzle of olive oil. Pull it through till the spices are just kind of on there. And if the potatoes get a little broken, that's okay. We want some of those to crisp up. And now that they're cooked most of the way through, while they're still hot, we're doing this so that when we put them in the oven, they stay in their shape a little bit, crisp up, keep warm, and all we have to do is just put that outside cook on them, and it shouldn't take too long. But I'm just going to use a little pinch of black salt to get some of that in there, and then I'll finish it with black salt again if I need to when they come out. Black salt, also known as namak, sulfur salt, egg salt. All right, into the oven. There we go. That shouldn't need too long. All right, first off, to some hot oil, we're going to add about a tablespoon of mustard seeds. Full disclosure, we should actually be taking whole cumin seeds and putting it in there as well, but we can't because I don't pack any on this rig. So, once those are fried up a little bit, you're going to toss in your garlic just to brown it. And I forgot to say, we don't need the pan because we can just make this concoction in the pot that will house the stew in the final pint anyway. So, now that water has cooked out mostly and the garlic is going to brown. Once the garlic is turning brown, we're going to add onions and ginger. Ooh, forgive me. I also forgot to add a nice pinch of red pepper flake to roast in that oil. If you don't want to do this because you have sensitivities to spice, then don't. It does make a very beautiful flavor though. There we go. Those are the first three things that you should have in the pan, and brown them up. Let them develop some flavor. Oh, it's becoming quite fragrant in here. I'm going to add ginger. And then the onions on top. Now here's more real talk. Indian folks would likely use red onion for this dish. They may or may not use mustard seed depending on where you are in the country. And they also would be more inclined to use green chilies instead of red chili flake. I don't have green chilies, but that would make a very nice addition. This, however, will still taste delicious just like this. We're just going to cook the onions to translucent, which they're just getting there. And then we're going to add the tomato. These onions are looking pretty translucent. Let's add some tomato. And forget all the spices I was just supposed to add. We're going to add a tablespoon of madras masala, the same amount plus a little more of garam masala. We're going to make sure we don't forget that cumin, about a teaspoon, and a little bit of kasoori methi to start, and we'll also finish with a little bit of it. Of course, we also need a scant tablespoon of turmeric, a generous teaspoon of coriander, and our friend namak to taste. I just put a little in to start. We're going to stir that up like this. Let's check those potatoes. Cook those tomatoes down in it just a little bit more. We want those kind of soft. And I'll be right back. Most of the tomatoes are soft. I'm going to add this spinach. Cooked spinach is okay. If you're doing it from raw spinach, just a little less. Now, this is just going to get cooked down. It has one more little ways to go here. And then that becomes a sauce for the potatoes. And that's two components coming together to make a brilliant stew. At this point, you could start making chapati or roti or rice. Although I will say traditionally, this dish is eaten with chapati or roti. I added a little bit of water just to make sure it didn't burn before it had a chance to cook those spices into it. And now we just wait for the two components to come together. There that is, some more of my own baby spinach. This is your one and only chance to re-season aside from salt because the spices have got to cook. So I'm actually going to go with a little bit more madras masala or a curry masala of your choice. And just a hair more garam masala. And let your taste buds dictate what it is that you like. You'll know to some degree what's missing if you want it spicier. Or maybe right now you think, oh, I'm going to want it to be a little thinner in consistency than this. So that's kind of what I want. So I'm going to actually add just a little splash of almond coconut milk and then cook it down. Yeah, it's already a nice color. And of course we can salt at the end. Cook those potatoes together until this is ready. Get them nice and crisped up. Let's take a look at how these are doing. Oh yeah, nice. So yeah, we can turn these through, try to make sure we even out browning versus burning. Alright, the real time that has passed on cooking this now has been about 7 to 10 minutes. You can see it's got a little bit of a khaki brownish green color to it. It's still vibrant in color, but you can see the texture's changed into more of a sauce, a chunky sauce. And most of those tomatoes have disappeared and are just hanging on. So we are getting close. As we get ready to add the potatoes, which are going to take up all the remaining room in here, so I'm going to add about half a container of these baby spinach greens here, and just use the sauce to wilt it just a little bit so that it's not all over the place when I go to put my potatoes in, which to be honest is already going to be a tricky prospect. So those leaves we added are a nice dark green color now because they've just started to cook, and I'm just going to add in just a hint more fenugreek leaf or kasoori methi. Add this to that. Could I have cut it any more close? Am I a pro or fluky? Tell me in the comments. Am I a pro or fluky? We're going to stir this all together. Taste it, season it, bring it up to temperature together, and you're done. The delicious finished stew, like a thick stew paste. You could go way more potato and make it way drier if you want. I like it like this, just holds together. Very, very lovely. Thanks as always to India for inspiring me and everyone else around the world to make beautifully spiced, wonderful, complex dishes that have a relatively easy process. So this is my version of Aloo Palak. This will be an amazing, dependable add to your repertoire. So try it out. I love it on rice. I love it with bread. Today I'm going to eat it with crackers. But there you have it. Did you try it? Tell me in the comments how it turned out.